4 hours like baseball, not like 10 hours like an NFL game. 2 hours and it was done. We sang songs. We got drunk. We hugged each other as men. It was a beautiful thing, Jonathan. Stop hating on the round ball.
Well, I didn't know that you were into auras and all that stuff. So your aura's orange?
No. This is True Colors. I'm not a salesperson for them. That's a beautiful, man, I tell you, that I love that personality assessment. That's some good stuff right there.
Well, that's actually a good thing because I know a little bit, I actually know more than a little bit about you. When we're teasing each other as a list, I don't know if I've ever told the listeners that I was in the Marines and Paul was in the Air Force as an officer. Tell us about that experience because I know that was absolutely life-changing for you. All the things that happened as a counselor in the Air Force.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it really was. It was, well, I was enlisted as well as an officer. So when I was enlisted, I worked in the mental health career field and got some certifications in drug and alcohol counseling because like I said, I want to just help people. The world would be such a better place if we, not that I am a paragon. I'm not saying that because I got told today by somebody that my overconfidence is my greatest weakness, whatever. I'm not overconfident. I just know what I've done in my life. But, so, I always wanted to do that. And man, that was, those are some of the moments you'll never forget. Being able to help people who are actively suicidal. The hundreds of ambulance rides that I took because I was enlisted, the providers didn't go, I had to go, which was okay. But riding in the back of an ambulance, with someone who is actively suicidal, who's going to an inpatient facility because the military doesn't necessarily do inpatient, and then switching it over and getting that certification in drug and alcohol counseling. I come from a family of alcoholics and I love me some beer. So, yeah. It was so rewarding to be able to sit down with guys, mostly men, some women, but, people who were serving their country, who were abusing alcohol and ruining their lives, and to be able to be a little bit of a change for them, to be something to slow them down on that downward spiral, to help them slow down, pull back up, assess their lives, get some life skills, and really question whether or not that's what they wanted to do. It was a great thing. It was also hard because anybody who listens who struggles with alcoholism themselves, drug addiction, it's not that easy. And a lot of these folks just crashed and burned, unfortunately. Yeah, I got away from that after I finished my degree, and like I said, my mentor really pushed me to apply for our commissioning programs in the Air Force, and I did. I was accepted my first time. I went and I got that. And when I got into the commission side of things, it was great. It was fun, but I missed helping people. So I volunteered for a duty assignment as a sexual assault response coordinator. Essentially, basically, I was the point person to run a program for an entire military installation, about 5,000 people, where anything to do with sexual assault, whether it was a response mechanism itself, whether it was a training of victim advocates, whether it was the policy aspect of it, I was a point person. So I had to build all that stuff. And that was not only the highlight of my 20+ year career, but it was also the low light. As a man, as a white male, I broke the record of most reports ever for the major command that I was assigned to. They'd never had that many. That really meant a lot to me, unfortunately, in a way, unfortunately, and also in a way, fortunately, because I'd established enough trust and a reputation on the installation that people, 9.9 times out of 10 young women, felt comfortable that they could come to me and report what had happened. But also, the downside of it was politics. You've got colonels that are worried about getting their star to general, and that's more important than the health and safety of the people who depend on them. And unfortunately, at this point in my life, I can talk about it candidly. That's what made me retire. I basically was getting my career decimated because I wasn't backing down from the 06, which is the military pay grade of a colonel. I wasn't backing down from him. As he was chasing his next promotion, he was going to make sure that my life was hell. And I decided then and there, you know what? One of our core values is service before self. And if this man can't embody that, I can't do this anymore. and I had to walk away from it. But again, it was, man, I'm looking, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking on my wall. There's a painting from a young lady who, before she left that base, she painted it for me to just thank me for the things that I had done for her. She had been assaulted twice in about a 6-month period. So those types of things they can't ever take. They could take my career away from me, but they can't ever take that stuff away.
Because that's a very poignant thing to have someone express. You know, it's one thing to say something to someone, but to put something into a physical form like a painting, you know, that takes a lot more time and effort and care to do a painting versus, you know, you just helped me. So
yeah, I think I may have shed one tear during that time when she handed it to me. One. I'm a liar. I'm a big fat liar.
All right. With that, we're going to go into our second round of ads.
Hey everybody, this is X.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm Felicia. We're the Utah Outcasts.
3 out, unashamed, and active atheists living in Utah.
And we are personally inviting you to let us love your ears each and every week.
As we take the news, current events, and pop culture and give it a little twist.
A love twist, with consent.
And we'll be joined each week by a special guest to tell us what makes them an outcast like us.
Come find us.
The Utah Outcasts.
On podhell.com, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play,
Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
And on UtahOutcast.com.
We finally bought that domain off the kids handing out mixtapes in the mall.
Come be an outcast with us.
Take care of yourselves out there.
Bonne nuit.
And you're welcome.
Beep, 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 beep. This just in. The Palestinians and Israelis say, we give up. There's no fucking point in this anymore. Great to hear that from the Palestinian and Israelis.
Wouldn't that be oh my God.
That'd be great.
Hey, what year are we looking at? I mean, since this is the reality, what year are we actually in right now?
3,654.
Damn. I was thinking the later, the 2800s maybe. Damn, I missed by a couple hundred years.
Well, first we got to wait for the Wailing Wall to be eroded by wind and rain before that'll actually happen. All right. Music, Paul. I know you personally, and I know music is a huge part of your life. It's a huge part of what made you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
About music? Oh, I could talk about music all day long. I love me some music.
I know you do. But just how did it make you the person that you are today? Because I know it had a huge impact on you.
Well, yeah, it was definitely a release for sure. From my formative years, it's always been a release. And it's one of the beautiful things about it is we all self-identify with it, I think, to a certain degree. I also think that there's definitely some influence from mass media on what's consumed and what isn't. But for me, as a personal anecdote, it was always an immediate identification. I can still remember to this day sitting at the gas station with my father over the FM radio and hearing Motley Crue Shout at the Devil be played on the radio. And it was the lights shone down from the heavens. It was a life-altering moment. I realized, oh my God, that's what I need. I felt that, transcendent release, if you will. It's always been important because it's been that release. It's been very cognitively, emotionally healthy for me to have music. Even to this day, I still need it as a release. I think it's kind of underplayed in its importance. It gets lost.
I know at the time that when you first heard, because that kind of dates you.
Yeah, it does.
Motley Crue Shout at the Devil. I know that you were still a very devout Catholic. Well, at that time.
You don't.
How did you reconcile?
You don't know that I didn't hear it on a classic station. I could be 26 for all you know.
Yeah, because I haven't seen your gray ass beard before.
It's a motif. That is a motif. And for listeners who don't know what a motif is, you know what a mohawk is, and you know what a goatee is. Some of us are so follically challenged that we can't grow either, so we combine them and we make a motif on our faces.
He has a Brazilian on his face, is what it is.
That's basically what I'm saying. I was definitely a Catholic at the time that came out. So you can imagine the struggles that I had with Catholic parents explaining to them. I had to buy Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil album kind of secretly, incognito at our local store and sneak that into the house underneath, by the way, a Foreigner album, because Foreigner was much more safe. So I could get away with Foreigner. I couldn't get away with Motley Crue.
Wow. It's amazing it didn't burst into flames.
It's amazing, isn't it? But I was told that I could not listen to some of the songs on there because of the language, which was always funny for me because my dad was a massive addict of the Beatles. And if you've ever heard the Beatles song Revolution, they say a bad sweary word in that, and that was okay. But for me, I couldn't listen to some of the bad sweary words in Motley Crue's album.
What about Imagine?
I know.
Ooh, wow.
I know, right? He was just one of those guys, or he's still alive. He's one of those guys that he whichever way the stiffest wind would blow, he would bend towards it. And my stepmother was a very devout Catholic, so she bent him, and he totally bent. Him and I actually got in a fight once when I was in my mid-20s because I was I was born again, and him and I got in a fight about God. He actually took the atheist role in that. That was an interesting reflection point now that I'm actually saying it out loud.
Yeah, going from Catholic to born again. That wouldn't be cool
at
all.
Well, I had to because Catholicism was suffocating. So once I got invited to an independent Baptist church, going in there and learning about how the Baptists saw the personal relationship with God, dude, that was a revelation for me. There was no personal relationship with God as a Catholic. There was guilt topped with more guilt, hellfire, purgatory. That's what Catholicism was. So when I walked into a church and the pastor talked about this personal relationship, I was elbows deep. Here's my money. Take it, please. Tell me more.
Yes, right. I lost my train of thought with the.
We were talking music
with the Fry reference.
Yeah, we were talking music, and then we got into independent Baptism. So music's always been. It gets wrapped into all of my episodes. Even to this day, it's very important in some of the other projects that I'm doing, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. And, it's made me some great friendships as well. Like you said early on with Jason Camo, an absolutely outstanding humanist.
And actually you mentioned other projects. Let's talk about Atheist Apocalypse. I've been listening to this, and I'll let you explain it, but it's different than anything that you've been doing before. So give us the rundown on that.
Well, it's different in a way. Longtime fans of the Q/Koronify Me know that all the way back into my teens, I've been doing script-based shows. My first one ever involved the guys from Cognitive Dissonance, Noah Lugens from Scathing Atheist, and I'm totally blanking now. I think, at least those guys. It's been 100 episodes. You'll forgive me, but I've always been a writer. When I was 8 years old, I wrote my first newspaper and published it to my family. I've always been a writer. So creative ventures were always, inherent to me. They were always part of who I was. It gets wrapped into the Q/Koronify Me. Again, you'll hear those bits just sprinkled into episodes here and there because they need to be there. But with Atheist Apocalypse, I've kind of shared with your listeners some of my frustrations with our community. Again, that's my definition of what a community is. And I believe that, we are here to support each other. So there's a lot of evidence that convinces me that in some semblance we are a community. But I'm always that type of person who looks at me first before I look at you, and then I look at our community before I go look at believers' communities. And I was frustrated by what I saw. I saw the evolution as we gained a voice. I saw our evolution, and I did not like what we were becoming. I was seeing us
de-evolution.
Well, and that's a valid point too. Yeah, I did not like what I saw coming, and I thought I was just out doing a home project, which will not be named. Some of you bastards know what I was doing. but it has no name. And I was working on that, which, yard work is very cathartic. And I realized the words